Push the button, go. Welcome back to the First, the Last, the Nerdom, the podcast. We swear we soar through the highs, dig into the lows, and explore everything nerd culture has to offer. And this week, we're flying straight into one of the most anticipated superhero films in years, James Gunn's brand new reboot of Superman. After years of cinematic ups and downs, the Man of Steel is back, but this time, he's under the direction of a filmmaker known for turning oddballs into icons and chaos into heart. That's right, James Gunn is gunning for hope, bringing his signature blend of emotion, humor, and cosmic weirdness to the most iconic superhero of all time. This episode, we're breaking down how Gunn reimagines Clark Kent, the new tone of the DC universe, the casting choices, the suit, the score, and whether this reboot finally gives Superman the modern mythos he deserves. Does it capture the truth, justice, and hope that define the character? Or is it another cape in a long line of reboots flying too close to the sun? Strap in, nerds, we're talking legacy, reinvention, and the power of starting over. This is Superman Reborn, and this is the First, the Last, the Nerdom.
Pulling from the void we know so well. Oh, horror, fantasy, the stories we tell. Sci-fi dreams where the stars collapse. Comic books stacked high in gaps. Mike and Tom, they light the flame. The first, the last, the Nerdom name. Voices sharp like the edge of time. Diving deep in a world sublime.
Hey, Tom, how you doing?
I'm good, Mike, and
Awesome.
I'm ready. I've suited up for the show. I got my
Yes, you have.
Yes.
And if my I'm not gonna lie, I may or may not have a couple Superman costumes from Halloween over the last decade or so. But the one that I would normally wear is not suitable to wear. Otherwise, I would have played the game and did the full 9 yards. But God bless you for that. I'm pretty sure I have that same exact T-shirt. What is this thing that we're on about here? I am ML Mike.
And I'm Tom.
Yep.
And we're the first, the last, the Nerdom. First, last Nerdom for short.
Yep. And we're about this week. I was really excited, and I've been excited, and I have purposely blacked out social media. If there were certain grifting personalities that I might have liked before, they got put into a black hole. And I didn't watch them or listen or talk to them because I don't want to hear it. I want to see this thing called Superman, which is it's a hard franchise to nail, to get down and get it going. Anyway, so that's what this week is about. We got a chance to, Tom was very, very agreeable to watching this out in the theater. We saw it in our own time. I saw it a couple times. Tom saw it at least once. And now we're going to do this week's show on it. So without further ado here, we're going to pay some bills. Our home base is the First Last Nerdom on YouTube at FirstLastNerdom. And then, Tom, do you have something going on over at another part of the internet? There's something. What color is it? Blue it? Yellow it? Oh no, it's Reddit. Horrible day.
or suck it. But it's First Last Nerdom on Reddit. Yeah, I travel along any subreddit that will have me and some that won't, and complain about me. But yeah, there's but I try to promote her stuff there, and also just strike up conversations. Yeah, but yeah, it seems like the bigger subreddits. There's a few people that think I'm shamelessly promoting spam and whatnot. It's not like I'm going to say the Barbie Reddits and trying to promote a horror movie. I'm focusing on stuff that should be of interest to the particular subreddit, but evidently sometimes they don't like us. But I did promote. We have a new series called Binge Worthy. Check that out. Our first episode, we covered The Prisoner, and I promoted us on the Tubi site, which is actually showing The Prisoner. Also, I noticed Shout Factory on YouTube actually started uploading The Prisoner episodes this week. So this past week, which is
No
kind of
kidding.
serendipitous. Yeah. So yeah, if you're not keen on checking it on Tubi, that's there. The whole series is on YouTube under Shout Factory's label, so check them out. But yeah, the subreddit for both Tubi and I found a prisoner one. I engaged in some nice conversations with people on there, and they were happy to have me. So
Yeah,
um,
not all subreddits are created equal, but I think learning vicariously through you when I left the platform or was banned or suspended or something because
mhm.
you're not allowed to have independent thought on Reddit. So fuck them. But anyway, this is why Tom is so gracious and he does the social. He deals with the Reddit crowd. The
Yeah.
2B one is really good. I think the Roku. Didn't you say the Roku? Did you have good luck with there? Like they didn't delete it, or maybe I'm misplacing that with the Pluto one. I can't remember, but uh,
Pluto's good too, but
okay.
yeah, Tubi is overwhelmingly good, so positive. So I think we've gotten a few maybe possible viewers from that. But yeah, if you've come over from Reddit, the jungles of Reddit, I say hello to you, and hopefully will
And
you enjoy us. I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. I promote our stuff there, and I'll randomly post stuff. I'm the physical media guy, so if I get some Blu-rays or 4Ks, I'll post it there for you to admire. But yeah, check me out there. I'm always trying to keep up to date on what we're posting and what's coming out.
absolutely, I too am on X. I'm under at ApeIt_Ink. I recently lost my blue badge because I'm not going to pay $500 a month for or $500 a year for some inane jackassery. But anyway, I will say I did enjoy my year when I did have the blue check at the thing. Grok is very cool, very cool. But anyway, longer form stuff. You can find me and Tom, and occasionally we'll bat back and forth an idea. I'm also a co-host for America's Talk Show, the Late Show, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The main co-host Raleigh. Look up for some upcoming changes there. We're up to 8.9k and almost 9k subscribers, and that has taught me a lot about shorts, which Tom knows very well, and he put actually a couple shorts out. So follow him for our channel's content. Also, am a co-host on the Sunday morning show. Sunday morning, I step into Cafe Americana with Professor Kenny and Andre. I would butcher his name, and I should write a script for this. But anyway, also on ApeIt.Ink, my long form publication. I really need to get back on the ball because I haven't posted all that much. But it is a thing where I can be and write what I want when I want. So, it's not like I'm making money off of it or whatever. But this leads us to today's main event here, Superman. Now, PG-13, 2025. We saw the roll up to this, saw it coming a million miles away with James Gunn. I am curious. I know we kind of shared some initial thoughts, and I've had to curb some private conversations when people ask me because if it's with family or nobody who cares, like I'll say, I'll just give them the short thing of it. But if it's a stranger, I don't opine or talk about it until me and Tom have our time and space every Sunday night to talk on it. So, my friend, Tom, I've probably of us two, I'm probably the bigger Superman fan. Although maybe that changed this movie, I don't know, or maybe maybe I'm Superman and you're my Lex Luthor because you just can't stand the character. Who knows? But with that being said, this was a much anticipated
DC's been in the dumps. I guess we should cover some of the important, truthful parts. DC's been on a downturn. They are just not as good as Marvel when it comes to the box office and the people. They put up good numbers. They just don't put up Disney Marvel numbers, and they just never did. They've tried many different people over the years. This is the first generation efforts of them doing the co-president thing with Gunn and the other guy for I think DC Entertainment, heading up that part. So not only is this James Gunn's name on it, but this is like kind of do or die a little bit. So, but putting that all aside, in that long preamble, what did you think, Tom? Where do you fall on this one? Were you excited? Were you not? Were you frustrated? What did you think of Man of Steel? All the questions, Tom. All the questions.
To answer your question, Senator, I now believe a man can fly. No,
I love it.
I love the film. It was a wonderful, wonderful movie. But yeah, so yeah, you were talking about the build up. DC's had some issues. I think they kind of suffered because they didn't have like their own 8 or 10-year plan like Marvel had.
Sure.
With their thing, and then you saw what happens to Marvel after they had a 10-year plan, and then they didn't have anything to come after it, or anything that turned to be substantial. So yeah, this is DC's time and they gather James Gunn, and the amazing thing about it is James Gunn was offered Superman in I think 2017, but he was like, no, I don't know if I can do a Superman movie, and did the Suicide Squad instead, because that was more close to home for him, for his oddball characters, and he's more comfortable dealing with these lesser known characters that he could do whatever he can. He could do. He's a little bit freer to do what he does with those, because no one kind of holds them as close to their heart as, say, a Superman, which everybody and their cousin has opinion on, whether or not that's a good opinion or not. To speculation, but it was a very, he didn't want to take on the responsibility of doing a Superman until he knew he was ready.
Right.
And so that this is his vision. There's no kind of just haphazardly doing it. He wanted to do something good for this, and I think the fact that he passed it on it initially and then circled back to it after I think he decided after he kind of wanted to do something kind of as a tribute to his father. That's when it clicked in for him. So he had something to say with this movie, and that's kind of odd for a superhero movie, for there to have a heart to a movie, that there be a lot of superhero movies lately have been just kind of a bunch of noise and a bunch of special effects, and ooh, look at that, and that only gets you so far.
Right. Yeah. I had a lot of hope, no pun intended, for this. I was ready. Like a lot of people, when this came out, when news of this came out, there was a little bit of it just seemed like when you're on the internet, you're just waiting for like the next shoe to drop constantly. I don't know what that, it's just kind of not a great environment all the time. But this is certainly went hand in glove for that phenomenon, because at first there was buzz that Henry Cavill was going to be something or do something with this new DC, this cleaning the house, this setting, bringing back order. But that was not the case. And that was okay. That was okay. A lot of, I did not really believe, Tom, and I know we kind of talked about this on the sides. We cover certain unique YouTube personas that have captured our attention, or mockery, for that matter, but all the above. There is such thing as hardcore Snyderverse fans, like Zack Snyder. They are out there, and I really didn't believe that.
The Snyder Bros, yeah.
But with that whole Cavill situation, I'm not going to go into it because it's not too important. But essentially, they came out of the woodwork, and that's a real people are out there that that is a real thing. But kind of zooming through
Mhm.
that, I love that I came in and then I blacked out, really dumb. I did the same thing that you did back in the day when you had, Entertainment Tonight come on, or a
Mhm.
newspaper. You just wouldn't turn to that page. You probably had a little bit more
Mhm.
control than you do today, because there's always something that gets through or something. And I'm a nerd about it, but I'm not gonna like not use my daily social media, BS, and things.
Right.
But I think I did a pretty good job of blocking them out. No, I did not see this opening night, but I did see the late showing, um, and it was fun. I had my son with me, and we enjoyed it. But in any case, and then I went to see it again this past weekend, actually, because why not? And I kind of I look, you can't block out everything, right? So I was very, very encouraged, and I didn't look for it, but it came to me just because of the people that we follow and we watch. That basically that it was doing good for the money making. It wasn't, and I'll testify to this. I had to not see, like, there were 3 time slots that I had to pick from before I realized, hey, they're all full. Like top to bottom, the ceiling is full,
Mhm.
or the theater is full rather. And that was
Mhm.
fun to see that. Very frustrating because I'm not used to that. Like I'm used to some
Mhm.
obscure A24 film or something or other. And then you just kind of slide in there, and nobody really cares or sees it or watches it or whatever. But this was not the case, and I was very happy to see that. And even still, this weekend, when I went in, it was a little bit better. It was still tight seating, but I still could sit there, and that was good. That was good
You
encouragement.
could
It was,
man spread a little bit.
oh, absolutely, yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah,
oh, go ahead.
my experience. Yeah, I don't like going opening weekend because of the crowds. I'm not a crowd person myself. But so I went to see it the Monday after. I'm
Right,
off on Mondays, so I went I always go to the first showing on a Monday. A lot of people don't get in at that time, but actually there were some actual people. Usually I have the theater to myself when I go to see something. But yeah, and then I don't know what it is. Yeah, you used to go into, especially a theater during the summer, and it'd be an ice box. You'd go in on the hot day and get into that theater, and you'd be enveloped into that cool kind of cocoon. But man, they must be cheaping out on the air because it was kind of lukewarm. There was this, it
a little
wasn't
hot. Yeah,
it wasn't comfortable. It was just a tad too uncomfortable. But yeah, that once I and the people behind me, there were 2 adults, but the person I kept hearing in my voice sounded like a kid, and oh geez, I'm gonna get a walk, running commentary between the whole thing because it starts off, yeah, spoilers, it's that scene from the previews where Superman's kind of curled up after a battle, and the kid
sure.
behind me kept going, oh, crypto's coming, crypto's coming, he's gonna save him. I was like, oh geez, what's going on? But after that initial, because he knew from the previews that
Sure.
crypto shows up in that scene. But yeah, after that, there was so much noise and stuff in the movie. I got lost in the movie, and it was a good experience overall. I forgot about my discomfort
You know,
and enjoyed. But yeah.
it's funny you say that because I walked in, and before, when I was younger, I didn't pay any attention to this at all unless it was really bad. But when I walked into the theater, the sound system was like really, really loud, like
Hmm.
getting, and of course you're walking into the theater, you're walking to your seat, and it gets louder and louder. And I was
Hmm.
like, I almost got up, and I almost was like, I need to go, they need to turn it down. And I fought with myself. And probably the first 10 minutes of the film, it was like, it was almost distracting, and then I was able to melt into
Hmm.
the movie and just enjoy it. So yeah, so I had my own little kind of thing, and then I was just fine, and then I was fine. But boy, oh boy, and I think that goes to the level of engagement that you get with this film. This is a very unusual style superhero film. It's not about the big, bang and things. This is a different Superman, a little bit more wholesome, a little bit more basic, a little bit more Silver Age, if you want to go that far. And I believe it was developed around All Star Superman, which we'll get into a little bit later on. I gotta say, because All Star Superman is one of the really really good creme de la creme of Superman stories of his 80, 90 years existence on this planet as a creative force. So I didn't know what to expect. I was more than pleasantly surprised. I got into it. Is it the same kind of hard hitting Matt Reeves Batman? 3-hour block to block to block, a story or movie? No, it actually is probably the inverse of Batman. As dark and as gritty as Batman is, this Superman, this version is so much different. It's so much. There's just, I don't even know where to start or where you want to go into it, but
very very bright, even with the color scheme. It's
right.
But the Snyder movies and the Snyder Bros, they want it dark gray
Right.
and everything, whereas this is bright and fresh and vibrant, and which reflects the mood of the movie.
Right.
It's about hope and about saving people, and the doing what's right. That's when you think of Superman, that's sort of the vision you should have for Superman.
Right.
That's been kind of ingrained from the very beginning.
It is.
There's he's close to 100 years old, so there's been various versions of Superman, but that seems to be the core of him. I don't know Superman that well. I know you've read way more than I have, and I usually try to read the more maybe Elseworld stuff. Like I read Red Superman, where he's was his vessel crashes in Russia instead of the U.S., and
Red Sun.
you have the Red Sun. There you go.
Yep.
And
Excellent one as well.
Yeah, very very good version, but yeah, with Superman, he's always kind of been bland to me, because he's that superhero that does everything right. That there's I always like the more rebellious, more oddball kind of
Right.
characters.
Sure.
And Superman is more bland, which and also he's a bit overpowered. He's godlike, maybe like Thor, but it's hard to get that character right, in the sense that it's intriguing to me to where that I get invested with the character, and I think James Gunn did a wonderful job of showing Superman's weaknesses and his strengths,
I
and
agree.
showing the balance of the character, and showing that he's not completely infallible, but he has that boyish hope that lifts him up and
Right.
carries him through, and kind of uplifts the people around him, even though they see maybe with maybe more um more critical eye of what's maybe he's not seeing himself.
Yeah,
But they're kind of overcome with his boyish optimism.
yeah, you're right. And not only is it could be a boring character. Oh, we have you know what we have somebody who's watching on a friend here. The gaming forum, they made him look like a dumb jock. What he said. He also said Superman is a lazy superhero. Yeah. So what I was going to say to that was a Superman. Yeah, you would think that he would be a really easy character to write, a really easy comic book, a really easy script, a really easy movie. That's not the case. It's too easy to paint him in a certain kind of godlike light. So the really good. He's an incredibly hard character to write for. I'll put it that way, because he kind of has these things. Now, as his characters develop, you kind of, he's everybody knows that he's his weakness is kryptonite, presumably, but also magic. If you want to get really into the into the weeds, but yeah, no, I get it, and Justin, one of our regular special guests, he's just not his tea. It's just not for him, and I get it. So I totally understand. But I just love this concept of Superman. I just kind of fell in love with him as a kiddo, and then came to really love him later on in life. I cannot tell you how many times I've watched Man of Steel. It is I to the point to like where I can recite some of the lines, and we can talk about the duality of man. And what these two alien but and won't bore the audience or you, but you have this end all be all, and I like the way that they were able to take that. I mean, he's strong, but at the same time, you kind of have a little bit of doubt, right? Because you're introduced to him at first in the movie, and this isn't spoiler territory at all. He got his ass kicked. And that through exposition, and you also know that by seeing thing. I will say the crypto, there was like this Silver Age kind of brushing in of like softer elements, but I think that they did a good job. I was impressed. This was one that could have been so it could have been messed up so bad. And there are criticisms that I'll have, and we'll get into that when we get into it.
No, it's not a perfect film, but
no.
And I think it's time to crack open my boomer juice. So
do it to
that.
Absolutely, and I will raise a glass to you, in vino veritas.
But yeah. I was kind of worried. I enjoy James Gunn's movies. Some could say I'm a fan of his work, and I was kind of worried with his take on Superman. I wasn't sure if it was a good fit, and even he, from what I read, I wasn't sure he was a good fit for writing a Superman movie. But I think he took the time and found that balance, because he again, he didn't sacrifice his oddball characters for this movie. They're there. There's a lot of interesting. There's the Justice Gang there with the green one of the Green Lanterns, Mr. Terrific and Hawk Girl, which they're all kind of had their own kind of oddball kind of their little quirks about them. And then Metamorpho, he makes kind of an appearance as well. So yeah, and that it does. Superman isn't just a one man show in this movie. He does have a good set of supporting characters that all. And I will say, Lois Lane isn't the damsel in distress, and she's never been that type of character. And James Gunn really does a good job putting her to good effect in this movie.
Agreed.
With that, her finding her way, even though she doesn't have superpowers. She's very important in the movie. To the chagrin of maybe some audience. Well, there I guess we won't get into it too much, but there's a contingency on the internet that has had issues with superhero comics and superhero movies for the past few years, and at times maybe they have a point, sometimes they don't, but I think they're grasping at straws in this movie and underlining things that don't necessarily need to be underlined because they're not that important for overall enjoyment of this movie.
That kind of what I was struck by was this would be if you were to introduce Batman, but also introduce the gallery of his foes. Was can't think of the name of the run on that, but regardless, Batman has like a very deep pantheon of villains to pick from, and I loved how And if this were not done, if this were done by somebody else, it would have been a train wreck. But the fact that he backs into this world and we're introduced to Superman in a weakened state, I think I think it's like, it's perfect. It's perfect from the perfect for Superman because again, you see the guy, he shows up, he blows them all away or whatever or whatever, and that wasn't the case. And the fact that they introduced such a deep world building so quickly, I don't think somebody else. And James Gunn is very good at doing that. He's good at getting you in from the angles, from the sides, not necessarily, also the main screen there. But if you think about Guardians of the Galaxy and why that's so beloved, you had such a great storytelling, and music was a character in that film. And I'm not going to say that music was a character in this film. It's not the same thing. But
I think the score was,
absolutely.
James Gunn did, the normal James Gunn movie would have all sorts of pop music throughout the thing. Whereas he's very restrained. He does have a couple of songs in there that kind of makes a point, but yeah, for the most part, it's more traditional kind of a score based kind of movie, which loops back to the original John Williams theme of Superman, to the benefit of this movie.
Yeah, no, it did. It worked very well. And anyway, I'm spending a lot of time here talking about the setup here to get to the film. It worked very well for me, from what it was. Again, it wasn't like the most perfect film. I don't quite know that I can give it a score, because I have such nostalgia and love for the last one, the last pure one, which was just Superman, which was Man of Steel. But it is a different, unique take. And I was just going to say, I'll echo the gaming forum, which he said he liked it. And I'm going to highlight his other comment here. And we have four people. Yeah, 2 people watching us and 4 thumbs up. So I'm getting a good skill set here with the live when we do it live here. But he said he thought it was a bit silly. I don't like how they made Superman like he was not in charge. Yeah. Anyway, going back to Lois Lane, I did that first kind of thing, like where you go from damaged Superman, and then you're not introduced to Clark Kent right away, right? Which I love. Again, if you're anybody other than James Gunn, you could not do that. I loved how that, like, it was like the next thing was like intimate. You see Lois Lane, and I will say, at first she was a little bit grating. I'm going to be honest, a little bit grating, but that goes, and it's kind of annoying. She is an annoying character right off the bat, and Superman kind of is annoying too in that interaction. I'll be honest with you. But if you stick around for another 15 minutes, like, it pays off. It was very well balanced with the world building, and you kind of see this is a Superman that is very much in love with Lois Lane, or they're starting to be in love, and you can see that Superman, he's got this image of like this superhero or whatever, and bullets bounce off of him, and he can just do this and do that and fly and all this, but he's still very much a human because he gets annoyed with Lois Lane, and I love that interaction, and that kind of reminded me a little bit, not always, but it reminded me a little bit of the Christopher Reeves and Clark Kent, kind of interaction a little bit, in some ways. But yeah, what do you think? You mentioned Lois Lane? I agree with you. I think her character worked very, very well. And the only thing I can say out there are to people who have the shallow criticism for no good reason, fuck you. I have no desire to hear your wafflings on why this is woke or not woke. I don't. This is a rare point, like where I'll put I'm gonna bring the sword out, and I'm gonna start chopping away at folks. Like, fuck that. Like, I didn't get any of that bullshit, and I hate that. Like, if something is not good or whatever, be good with the criticism and bring something. Don't just bring you're selling a T-shirt, and oh, by the way, my Patreon is down there, and please subscribe to me. Like I don't, we're not those people. We're not those people. But
It's woke Superman. No, but yeah, no, I don't put much coin in that. But yeah, back let's say about 10 years ago, maybe around 2016 and 2017, that there was this movement within comic books and movies where maybe they were giving people voices that maybe weren't ready, aren't really hadn't written much, but they were trying to get other voices out there to be heard. But they were putting out bad stories, stories that didn't hold together, that didn't have a good thorough line, through line, didn't really engage the audience, and
right.
the comic books and some of the movies suffered for that. And my complaint was always that that was bad writing, to start with. And so, let's get back to writing something good. All the culture war stuff and all that stuff, it's kind of secondary to me. I don't really care about that crap. As long as you tell a good story with interesting characters that doesn't change what that character is and who they are, then with if you're going to talk, you want to create your own story, create your own characters. If you're dealing with Superman, you got to treat him like Superman. And I think that's what James Gunn did for the most part. And this is sort of like a maybe a response or kind of a alternate view of Superman. You were talking about Man of Steel. I did enjoy that one quite a bit, but that was a
Mhm.
darker
It
Superman.
was.
He didn't have any qualms with busting through and tearing down buildings and maybe killing a foe. Whereas this Superman is very super sensitive of saving lives, even down to the little squirrel and the stray dog. But so he's fighting this giant monster, and he's got to make sure the people in the building that he kind of broke the window of is okay as well.
Yeah,
So yeah, the very very different vibe, I would say.
yeah, and you know what? That could have easily gone over in a bad direction. Like very hard. It could have that one scene could have very easily been the internet's, you know, pick up the bones of everything until it's whatever. But yeah, I was gonna say highlight our gaming forum here. He said that he chatted us. He said the Man of Steel was awesome. Agreed. And he also said he liked it about the movie because it wasn't woke. And that third person is not me. I don't know what that means, but I'm just giving him shit anyway. But I was gonna say, yeah, he did a good job. And the other thing too, like the tasteful fan service / nods to the Superman alumni who like at one point when they're talking, it's a very very tense scene, and Lois Lane comes to Superman. It's about midway through, so through the movie, and he was like, "Oh, and you have the Justice Gang," and I love that they stuck to that. Essentially used the Green Lantern and Hawkgirl and what was the other one? Mr. Terrific, which holy shit. We'll get to the side characters here in a minute, because I was very impressed by some of them, and it worked very well. The campiness that came through because of All Star Superman. All Star Superman from that this was inspired on, I believe. More often than not, it does come through as campy, but in only the best way. It not like Batman, whatever. But I was gonna say anyway to finish my thought. The Superman kind of gave a throw off line of like, oh, that's just an an extra dimensional imp, which is another nod to one of the gallery of Superman enemies, like, and I love that nailed that aesthetic so well. But anyway, I'll retire here and I'll give the floor back to my good representative from Arkansas.
No, yeah, I enjoyed the well, it felt like a comic book movie as opposed to a Hollywood superhero movie, which James Gunn is very much a comic book nerd like us. And so
Yeah.
one of the things I was kind of worried about was, with putting in the what they call the Justice Gang, I was afraid that there would be a lot of that, a lot of characters being crammed in
Right.
and wedged in, and the movie would be kind of over bloated with
Sure.
stuff, and kind of lose sight of Superman. But and maybe with what's there, even maybe some people think it's kind of overwhelming Superman, but I think it was a good balance. It seemed like he was a bit restrained in that respect. He didn't let anything kind of overwhelm the central story of Superman. And circle back to Lois Lane in the character of her and Clark. I really enjoyed that. I didn't get annoyed with them. I really thought Rachel, I forget how to pronounce her name, Brashana. She sort of embodied the um it really felt like she was carrying on the legacy of Margot Kidder. I really got that vibe of her, more, kind of sassy, smart, Lois Lane, that could hold her own. There's not a whole lot of people that can hold their own against the god and kind of facing down that this larger than life Superman. And she does hold her own without overpowering him. Some some women, it could come off as her being a little bossy, but I got kind of that and it's in the early stages of the relationship. Maybe the fact that she knows he's Superman. It's maybe it's in the early stages. We don't know, so they're still trying to find their way, their balance between each other. And then there's a early on scene where he gives her the option to interview Superman, and that was probably his big mistake, because it kind of exposed some things that maybe they hadn't talked out yet, or felt out in their relationship, and the boundaries and whatnot. And it was very intense and a bit uncomfortable for him especially. But yeah, obviously, that it's sort of a kind of the whole movie is sort of like kind of going over their relationship, and is it good, is it bad, and she does. I can see where some people may have a problem with it, because Superman doesn't, you know the one of the problems with the Superman movie is, he could just blow through everything. And but I think James Gunn may be focusing in on some of his weaknesses and his inability to overcome certain things, maybe to an extreme sense. I felt like
Mhm.
maybe Superman should have shined a little bit more throughout the movie,
Yeah.
be able to take control of situations. I
Right.
don't know, it began kind of good in the, he was down on the dumps, but they should have had maybe a flashback. I know he didn't want to retell the origins of
Right.
Superman, which has been done to death. Everybody knows, unless they've been living under a rock for the past 100 years.
Well, I'll tell you.
But
I'll tell you what, Tom. We are, way over the halfway point line. So at this point forward, we'll if we drop spoilers, we do, because we will have more criticism for it. So please go ahead. Go ahead, please.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think it may be a flashback to a more self-assured, kind of just show you what Superman is without relying on, say, people's past experience with the character. You kind of have to go into the movie with knowing a little bit about Superman, without having you have to kind of have done your homework a little bit, because if you like I said, if you lived under a rock for the past 100 years and this is your first experience with Superman, you may be getting a little confused. You're not gonna know maybe what's going on, and you may be thinking, well, what's the big deal about Superman? He didn't do a whole lot in this movie, which he does shine at certain points, but it's always with the help of other people, which I think it's kind of gives it more of a team vibe to it.
Hmm.
But you don't really, I can see where someone might have a problem with it's not having Superman being the star of the show. which I feel like he is, but I can see where someone will want it more so.
Yeah, I was gonna say too. So I don't think that this is like a 9 out of 10 kind of film. What I do think is that if this, I think this is the kind of movie that we would have saw that was pretty much good quality, good stock quality. Maybe back in the OOs, you know. I think that it was. I think it did. It had some cute parts to it that maybe make people not take it as seriously as it should be. Maybe. And I was going to say, so I can see like where this is not a 9 out of 10, kind of film. That's it's not me giving it a rating. I'm just saying that it is factually not a 9 out of 10 film. This is not like the most perfect Superman film ever. It is its own unique creation and its own unique thing. It stands on its own. There were some parts that kind of took me out a little bit. Yeah, I was going to say Lex Luthor. We didn't even talk about him. I thought he was done very well. I don't think that he could have done any better. Lois Lane, I think, was right on the mark. Superman was fine. David Cornett was fine. He was, or Corn Sweat was good. I wish I would have saw a little bit more of him in certain situations, but yeah, I agree. I echo that part.
David Cornsweet was an excellent Superman in my opinion. I can see.
Yeah,
I was kind of.
I wanted to see more of him in the movie, But again, I do agree with you. The problem with the other DC movies before this point was that they were trying to do the Marvel thing and introduce too many characters and in not a good way. They were fine
without a focus. There wasn't a focus on what they were going to do with them.
Very true. Well, Black Adam suffered from that absolutely, and I loved it. It was a great family film, but it wasn't enough to keep that thing going. But this nailed the amount of characters that they did. Again, it perfectly does the world building, and you're kind of like an alien. You're kind of landing on Earth, and you're seeing this all happen, and you kind of accept it. But there was more that worked than didn't. I'll put it that way. Now,
yeah,
I have some criticisms for it because this is kind of the nerd that I just kind of dogged out a little bit ago. There were certain kind of characters that just didn't quite work for me in this film that kind of could have been better. But what you're talking about, you already nailed it. You're talking about like, yeah, I just didn't. I did not care for Martha and Papa.
Papa Kent.
Yeah. I mean, it worked. It worked all right, but it could have been better. But again, to your point, they don't talk about the origins. It's assumed that and they've really, really briefly covered. They touch on it a little bit, and it is touching how they kind of come back to it. So that's perfectly done. And this is a movie like where there's just so much going on. You have to kind of watch it a couple, 2 or 3, 4 times. That only applies to you if you're a Superman fan. If you're a normie, it doesn't apply to you. But I don't know. What do you think of Mom, Pa, Kent, and or other rough spots on the thing? Maybe I haven't even touched on it, but like.
It's I guess Ma Kent was a little annoying. They're okay. It was neither here nor there.
Yeah, well, and when I say that, I mean what you got was serviceable. All right, it was fine, but I think that it could have been better, in my opinion. But.
Yeah, the ones that they needed to get right, they got right, like David Cornsweet. Yeah. I was kind of concerned because I was like, well, what's wrong with Henry Cavill? When they were saying they were replacing him, but this movie answers that question. They were going for a younger Superman, one that wasn't sort of naive and doesn't have all the answers yet, and I don't think Henry Cavill could have done that at his advanced age. Not that he's old, but
No.
older than what they were kind of going for here. And this is their new 10-year plan, so they wanted a younger version of Superman. And again, Lois Lane's great, and Lex Luthor. I did read that both David Cornsweet and Nick Holt, I think it's Lex Luthor, they both grew up watching Smallville for Superman, so that was their sort of inspiration for Superman.
Yeah, yeah, and Gaming Forum had chatted. He said that he heard that the Lex Luthor actor tried out to be
Yeah, I
Superman.
read that. Read that too.
And then he said that
Which
they were like Lex tried out. Sorry, and they were like, well, we want you for Lex.
yeah,
And,
I think he said that he realized that he would probably be a better Lex. And I also read that Dennis Quaid tried out for Superman. That would have been kind of interesting. I don't think that would have been great, but
yeah, and I had put up there a little bit earlier, and I'll put it back up here in a moment. That one of our dedicated audience members said that that the Kent parents were portrayed as idiots or hillbillies. I think that's a little bit more blunt assessment, but it's not. It is correct. It is correct. That's not the part that bothered me. I just think that they were. Okay, so they do this thing. The weakness of this film would be like, okay, I accept the old version of them. I have no qualms with that. Those were perfectly done. The Southern accent, even though it's Kansas, okay, fine, whatever. They really weren't, and that's fine. They don't need. That's not important to the film at all whatsoever. But when they did kind of the flashbacks and like everybody is supposed to be like 20 years younger. It kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, but but by that point you're already at the end of the film, and the point has been made. So I'll give him that. But yeah. Would you think of the prospects for this being now? You had, to your point again about Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill could not have done this movie. That's a Henry Cavill that's at the end of like whatever this is gonna be, or wherever we go with these characters if they are successful. But I'm down with it. This is the first serious Superman that has been around that people are taking seriously. I think maybe critically, Man of Steel was taken seriously a little bit, with some quibbles, but the Brandon Roush Superman and Kevin Spacey Lex Luthor, that was not taken seriously at all. That was an outright flop, and that really set the franchise back probably another 10 years to the port, like where they had to start.
Although I did enjoy that movie.
I did too. Yeah, I loved it as well. And it actually brought in aspects of Superman that were very unique for what it did, but that's another conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah, maybe we'll revisit that one at some point, but on our channel. But yeah, so yeah, the I did enjoy the Justice Gang with Mr. Terrific. Yeah, you got Guy Gardner, which is an interesting choice for Green Lantern, and I read where Nathan Fillion took the role but insisted on the traditional bowl cut for Guy Gardner, which is a bold choice, which I think I thought he looked silly from the previews and the pictures, but it works in the movie. And then Hawk Girl is I don't know. I don't really know much about the Hawk Man and Hawk Girl in DC. I'm more of a Marvel guy, so
yeah, to be honest with you,
thing.
I know a lot about. Yeah, I mean I know some things, but I don't know beyond, and I'm not a super nerd about it. But yeah.
So
you're
yeah,
right.
I don't know if they got her right or wrong. She was a kind of an interesting character, but yeah, Mr. Terrific and Guy Gardner were fantastic.
Yeah.
I loved them. Someone pointed out, and I can't unsee it now. Uh, Sam Raimi is very much tied to Bruce Campbell as an actor. They're he's in all of or almost all of Sam Raimi's
Right.
movies, and he's sort of like that goofy actor that always has fun. And this I guess in this generation you have James Gunn and Nathan Fillion. Nathan Fillion's in almost everything that James Gunn does. If not everything, I think. And he's always there to bring a laugh, and yeah, he's always an enjoyable character in there. And outside of filming, he always looks like he's the guy that you want to be around on set. Much like I think Bruce Campbell would be. And I've I've seen like con pictures of them together, and I have to imagine that is a good time to have. But yeah, a lot of interesting and good supporting characters. Mr. Terrific is a character I've started reading more DC lately, and he keeps popping up in my comic books that I read. So I'm learning a little bit more and more about this guy. It looks like he was introduced to comics in 1997, so he's been around for a while, but maybe he hasn't been as prominent. I know he's been in some of the animated series, and I think he was in Arrow, the Arrowverse. A version of Mr. Terrific was in that. But I think he comes into his own in this movie, and I'm sure some people are seeing him, that character, for the first time, and he really makes an impression on this movie. And yeah, I didn't know I needed a Mr. Terrific movie, but now I do need one, or at least a Justice Gang movie.
I gotta say, the fact that they picked a little bit more obscure characters that nobody really knows all that well, aside from Green Lantern, arguably for sure, Mister Terrific is not a mainstream DC character by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
It's just not. But I loved this. I really loved. I wanted to see more. I agree. And probably more downer than not. Like Crypto was cute, but it was also kind of like, okay, 5 minutes is a little bit too long for, but
Yeah, well,
that's
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and I think the reason why Crypto's in there is that James Gunn had recently got a new dog, and he was a bit of a terror. And he said, and his thought was, what if this dog had superpowers? And that kind of inspired him. And
Right.
in fact, that dog, that CGI dog that's in the movie, is James Gunn's dog. It's based off of his dog, and James Gunn says anytime he sees his on screen version of himself, he wants to tear it up and destroy it, destroy that dog. So
Yeah,
it's kind of
it
interesting.
it plays very well into the overall atmosphere of the film. So again,
Yeah,
the,
yeah, and
the
I'm not a dog guy, but
right.
he had his moments in this. But yeah, I could have done it. There's not a whole lot of Crypto, but I could have done with less of him. But yeah, it's okay.
Right. Agreed. Yeah, no, Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern was
Guy
perfect.
Gardner.
It was
Yep.
at first I agree. You're kind of like, are they really going to do that? And then they did, and you're like, yeah, it works.
Mhm.
You had the automatons, whatever, which are not really a character, but I did say that I will say this. I think that I preferred the Black Adam Hawk Girl to this Hawk Girl, but that's a minor thing.
And there's a lot of online memes about her screaming and
Oh yeah. Oh god, yeah. I can only imagine. Yeah, but no, she did a great job. For what you got. Again, the man of the hour. It was fine. You actually kind of wanted a little bit more Superman than you got. I mean, it did fine. It did fine. But I think the next one, I think people are going to be like looking for that little bit harder core edge. But they covered so much ground, including his cousin.
I enjoyed, yeah, I enjoyed Jimmy Olsen as well. He's
Oh,
a bit of
absolutely
a
perfect.
Casanova in this one. He's not as geeky as he is in the other iterations of him. But yeah, I enjoyed enjoyed his that guy. I forget the actor's name. His version of Jimmy Olsen. But yeah, all of yeah, there's not a lot of missteps. I mean, I enjoyed the guy playing Perry White.
Yep.
Yeah, uh, yeah, there's not a lot of screen time for a lot of these characters, but for what there is, James Gunn does a good job of kind of spotlighting who they are. Some
Very
movies,
white.
the minor characters kind of disappear and their personality doesn't come through, but James Gunn always has a way of casting interesting people to enliven those characters that really kind of shine through. I will say this isn't my favorite James Gunn movie. It may be somewhere in the middle. But if I had to choose between this or the Suicide Squad, I would definitely go with Suicide Squad. That one's more of my jam as far as the
Sure.
movie. Much more of a James Gunn movie, and I really loved that movie. But
Right.
this is not bad. I really, like I said, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's one that I'll definitely see again. I'll definitely own a physical copy of this movie, because yeah, it's worthy of getting in my collection. There's parts of it that are really wonderful, parts of it not so, but yeah, it's there's a good balance, and by the end of the movie, you feel like you didn't misspend your time with the movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say to kind of flash on the Green Lantern costume from the gaming forum from our chat. Thank you all to those folks that are out there watching. We very much appreciate it. He mentioned the costume is going to be very popular this Halloween. It might, it might. I don't know. Now I need to start researching what I want to do for Halloween because got to do something. We have a year with a good superhero movie that I have no excuses to not do the thing. The only sad part is my kids have kind of aged out of Halloween, so boo-hoo me. But
Yeah, the only part of the movie that had me questioning, because I didn't know if they covered this in the I like that. The picture that everybody had a problem with a few months back about Superman putting on his boot with stuff going on in the background. That image that everybody lambasted. It worked well in the movie. It's actually
it
was was an interesting sort of.
you
He's like, oh, the Justice Gang got it.
well
I'm
well
just gonna
well
take
you,
a
you
moment.
you needed that for the world building again. That just goes to James Gunn mastery. I want to revisit the yeah, to me, I think it's a little bit higher than mid pack for me for James Gunn movies. If you're grading on that, I think that I don't know, man. You want to talk about the perfect James Gunn movie? You make a good argument for Suicide Squad. I would Guardians of the Galaxy 1. I mean, that's kind of like what set the pace. But what you get and what you see is very satisfying to the eye and the ear. Despite the thing being turned up to like 100 out of 10 at my local theater. But I gotta
Yeah,
say, like
and
we're probably getting a little long in the tooth, and I hate to do that, but like there's just so much to cover for this.
mhm.
I
Yeah, the
agree with you. There are parts that just don't work at all. That they
mhm.
just don't. They're not great. I'll put that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, well, the part that I had a problem with, and this is obviously spoiler, but there's a message from his Kryptonian parents, where he only gets the first part of the message of hope and maybe helping out these Earthlings, and Lex Luthor unscrambles the message for the whole message. You can find out, well, actually his parents wants him to take over Earth and become its overlord, and take on
Right.
as many brides as he can, and that seems more more in line with, say, the invincible Superman type character, Omni. And I thought, that's kind of odd choice for that, and kind of at odds with the origins of Superman. Although I was watching Red Letter Media talk about it, and Rich on there is a big Superman fan, and he said that in one of the retellings of Superman's origin, that was kind of part of it. I think it was Mark Waid's version of the origins back in
Interesting.
I think the 90s or the 2000s.
Yeah.
So yeah, that has been sort of a gambit that they've played with this character before. So it's not totally out of left field, but yeah, that kind of threw me off a little bit. But
Hmm.
it kind of works. It's not something that ruined the movie for me, but yeah. And I like how yeah, you were talking about how people kind of complaining about this movie, or what a lot of people are invested, that shouldn't be invested on this movie doing badly. And when the numbers for last weekend wasn't quite uh, what was speculated, they were crying out that it was a flop, even though it was maybe a few million off of the target, as opposed to way under. And this movie is doing respectable, and everybody's pretty happy with it. And probably is going to spend a long time in the theaters. And I just find it fascinating that people are so invested in this movie doing badly. It's like, okay, come on, it's a movie,
Right.
you're well, although those same people are relying on people hate watching this movie, so
Yeah. No.
in their content.
I think what I would encourage people is it is the perfect movie to take your kiddo. If your kiddo is say 8, 9, 10, 11, I think you're good. Or you maybe have a super mature 7 or 6 year old, they're gonna like it probably.
Yeah.
But any younger, I don't think they'll dig it. But I think that mid pack, kiddo, not you don't want to take them too late to where they fall asleep, but it is a great family movie. I just love that it just seemed to put the best parts forward, and it was very entertaining and positive in all the right ways. Things were campy, things were kitschy, but you accept that because of other things that you get in
It's a
exchange
comic
for.
book movie and all its
Absolutely.
flaws and for all the good and the bad
Right.
that entails.
And
It
yeah.
wears all of that on its sleeve.
Yeah. No, and I would say, up at the right at the corner there, some might give it 6 out of 10s, but a good watch, not a good 6, not like you're gonna regret watching this. But I think 7.5 out of 10 is perfectly fine. And I know exactly what will happen. This is just me. But I will watch this a few more times over the next upcoming years, and I will love it. And that will probably balloon up to 8. But
I think it's already at an 8 for me.
yeah,
Like I said, I've
agreed. Yeah,
given it, I've kind of shaken it around and kind of shook loose all of its flaws. And so you may think I think less of it, but I really really enjoyed it. And like I said, it's not my ultimate James Gunn movie, but it's pretty up there. Maybe I was a little wrong in saying mid, maybe more towards the
well,
top there,
but we're talking about but that's a different scale because we're that's a James Gunn scale. So
right,
that's
yeah.
that's a different thing anyway. But no, I agree with you. I don't think the things that I could criticize it for are not any major things.
Mhm.
This is not going to be this is not the greatest Superman movie ever made. But I gotta say, this is probably the greatest thing that you could get if you were to take Roush, Superman, and Man of Steel, and that's how dark and heavy that is. But you kind of undercut it with a foundation of 70s, 80s Superman, or rather 70s Superman, Christopher Reeves. I, I I'm impressed. I
I will
enjoyed it, and it
I
was
will
just such a good refreshing breath of
Mhm.
a superhero movie. Anyway, and go ahead.
Now, I will say this. It's a 2 hour and 10-minute movie. Never overstays its welcome. There's a rare movie where I don't look at my watch at one point or the other.
Sure.
Say, okay, how much more do I got in this movie?
Right.
This
Or
movie,
outright leave,
never,
to be honest.
yeah, never looked at my watch during this movie or my phone. That's I don't wear a watch anymore, so it'd be my phone. But never looked at the time. And I will say this. As far as Superman movies, this is my favorite. I will say this.
Right on, right on. Well, I think we're coming up to the end. We covered a lot. I'm cautiously optimistic that the next James Gunn, the next thing, the next whatever. And I love how they did the tie-ins, like with Peacemaker. I love that show.
Yeah, yeah.
That's one of the First Last Nerdom's favorite newer comic book TV shows that you're just gonna have a good time. Maybe not the best time, but you're gonna have
Yep.
you're gonna remember it for sure.
And Peacemaker season 2 in August. So look out for that.
Yep.
And I will
Sure.
say this, the whole thing, another spoiler, Superman's keeps saying that he's looking after Crypto. It's not his dog. And you
Mhm.
find out why that's the case. He's looking after it for Supergirl, who
Yep.
makes an appearance. Turns out she's a clubbing drunk planet hopping girl. You know what? I'd heard that there's going to be a Supergirl movie. Was not interested. I found out Molly Adcock was Supergirl, who is in the new House of the Dragon Game of Thrones show. So that piqued my interest. I was like, okay, she's a good actress. And then this her cameo in this movie. I'm all set for a Supergirl movie. I'm ready for it. And yeah, and I know that Clayface movie's coming out. It's going to be a directed by I think Matt Flanagan, who's a horror guy.
Right.
And this is going to be a horror movie. I'm very excited about this. I'm all in on the James Gunn 10-year plan.
Me
I hope
too.
he doesn't disappoint. And I think he could at least maybe not you know match or overcome the Marvel's 10-year run, but I think this will be the more interesting run.
Yeah, I was gonna flip it back here just to do this justice because we are super big fans, pun intended, of original creators and authors who do these things. And Superman would not have been possible without Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. So I want to say God
Both
bless them. Yes.
Jewish men and immigrants. And
Yep.
James Gunn pointed out that this is an immigrant story, and a lot of people are going, "Whoa!"
I
about
c-
that.
Yep. Nope. I took all that in and I threw it in the trash. I have
Yeah.
there is just no bearing on modern day in this movie. That's just, I mean, you can make that connection if you want to, but really,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not there. It's just not there. And
Yep.
and look,
And
man,
you could also point out every time a man cried, and how every time no woman cried in this movie,
right,
and all this, and try to much like Charlie and the Always Sunny show, and have the board up behind you and
right,
showing you how woke this movie is. But sit down, watch the movie without all that garbage in your head. Just
right,
watch the movie and enjoy it. It's a movie talking about peace and hope, and finding that in the world, even though all these dangers are shooting at you. You're gonna find a way to save save that squirrel, save that human, and come out on top. Very hopeful movie. Really enjoyed it. Very despite all its warts and everything, it's a warming movie, in the best way that can be. Sometimes that stuff could get very saccharine and sugary, and you get kind
right.
of a sugar overload. This movie has a good balance with putting all the quirky stuff and
Right.
humor, and maybe that humor is a little bit too much for some people, but I enjoyed it. It hit just right for me. So, like I said,
Agreed.
this is I enjoyed a lot of the super man movies. I believe I've seen all of them. But this one's the one that hit me just right, and hit all the buttons, and like I said, it's my favorite. And I don't think that'll change anytime soon.
No, I agree 100%. Go see it, make up your own mind. I think you'll be surprised. And I think that, I think this is the superhero that we needed for the summer,
Mhm,
like flat out. But
mhm.
I agree wholeheartedly. Go see it, make up your own mind, or maybe you wait until streaming or whatever. But it would be more if you went out there and saw it. If anything, the grifters make a buck off of you when you don't do something. So, think about that too. And
Right.
in the immortal words of Frank Zappa, you know, not everything is a product. But some things are meant to
Yeah.
be, enjoyed. So that
Yeah.
it's nothing. It's nothing above or below. It's just a Superman that is very palatable to a lot of people, and I'm glad we have him
It
back.
is what it is.
Yeah. All right.
And again, you'll believe a man can fly.
Yeah. All right. Well, I've been Mel.
I'm Tom.
All right.
Keep watching the skies.
Bird. It's a plane. It's a.